5:33 p.m. I will call the North County Library Authority Commission to order. This is our regular meeting of Monday, January 31st, 2022. Angel, can you please call the roll and establish quorum?
Yes, if you are present, please indicate so by saying aye or raising your hand. Councilmember Meadows.
Here.
Councilmember Schmidt.
Yes.
Councilmember Epstein.
Aye.
Vice President Hill.
Here.
And President Fleegor. Thank you. We have a quorum.
Thank you. So quick housekeeping first. Let me introduce Angel Rodriguez. He is Deputy City Clerk with the City of Los Altos and will be the clerk supporting NCLA going forward. So welcome to the team, Angel. Very happy to have you. I've worked with you in different roles over the years, and so congratulations on stepping up to this role. Thank you.
Very much appreciated. Thank you. I'm looking forward to working with you guys and learning a lot about the library.
Yes, you will. And the different organizations that support the library. And just also Suzanne Epstein, she is one of the representatives from Los Altos Hills, but she's not a council member. So Commissioner Epstein, or whatever title she has on the commission, works.
Got her. I misread. I had her down as Secretary Epstein. Is that more appropriate? Okay, thank you.
Well, we're doing the changeover now, so we'll see what her title is after that. But welcome, Angel. Let's move to public comments on items not on the agenda. Do we have any members of the public who would like to comment? I think I see one hand.
I do see one hand. Would you like to set up a timer? Or would you like just to get going?
3 minutes.
All right. So member of the public identified as MJ, your hand is raised. I will unmute you.
Different ring session because I couldn't see myself, but I'd like to just tell all of you that yesterday I went to the Woodland Library. I was out doing errands. I was able to drop off my books and pick up books, and it was just wonderful to have it open on Sunday. So I wanted to thank both the county and all of you and the funds that enabled us to finally get back to normal 7 days a week. Students can now, on both days of the weekend, prepare for schoolwork. Working adults can see what they need to see or just escape with a book from the stress of the week. And you all are leading the way forward on this to our post-COVID world, and you're giving all of us hope. And I just wanted to thank everyone involved in getting that open 7 days a week, especially because the cities around us have actually taken a step backwards with Omicron instead of forward on this. So I know I've come before with concerns to you. I just want to come to you saying thank you.
Much appreciated. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you, MJ, and thanks for calling in. It's always great hearing the positive news, so thank you. Anybody else, Angel?
No, there are no other members of the public with their hands raised at this time.
Thank you. So then let's move to agenda item 1, which is the election of the NCLA commission officers for 2022. And so I'll open the floor. We will do president, then vice president, then secretary. And then I actually would like to table the treasurer discussion. I don't see our attorney yet. But I know he needs to be here for the attorney discussion. So let's go ahead and do the nominations for president, vice president, and secretary. And then we'll go from there. Suzanne, go ahead.
I'm going to nominate either Cindy or Lisa. It's just that we've had 2 years now of the Los Altos council member, and it's time to have some of us have someone else for this year. If either of those people, Cindy Hill or Lisa Schmidt, would be interested, I will nominate them for president.
So thanks, Suzanne. So we are doing nominations for position of president. Thanks. So we have a motion to appoint. So I am ready to second Cindy as president.
Excuse me, President Fleegor, I'm going to log out and log back in. I can't hear anybody but you and the other panelists, so I'm missing half of the conversation. So I'm going to log out and try to log back in and see if that works. I'm very sorry about that.
No problem, Lisa. We'll wait for you.
Okay.
She did look a little frozen or stunned. So,
But interestingly, her panel has not gone away, so I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now we have two Lisas.
Well, there's Chuck.
Oh, this looks so much more promising. Sorry about that. Things seem to be working now.
Yes, they do. Welcome back. Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you.
Okay, so I don't know how much you heard, but we were taking nominations for president. And Suzanne, Commissioner or Secretary Epstein nominated either Cindy or you. And I seconded the nomination as to Cindy. And I normally like to check in with the person to make sure they're okay with the nomination. So Cindy, are you okay with the nomination?
I'm okay and I accept the nomination.
Thank you.
Unless Lisa would like to take it, but she didn't look.
So the floor is still open. The floor is still open for nominations for president.
No, thank you. I'm happy to support Cindy. That was kind of surprising because I didn't hear Suzanne's comments. So it would have been very interested if I had been elected while I was off air. So thank you.
Well, one of the comments Suzanne made, Lisa, was the fact that, and she's right, for the last 2 years, we have had a Los Altos person serve as president.
Okay.
Councilperson, yeah.
So Angel, we have a motion by Secretary Epstein, seconded by myself. Can you please call the roll?
Yes, those of you in favor to have Ms. Hill as the next president of this committee, please indicate so by saying aye. Commissioner Meadows.
Aye.
Commissioner Schmidt.
Aye.
Secretary Epstein.
Aye.
Vice President Hill.
Aye.
And former President Fligor.
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously. We have a new president.
Well done. And so with that, congratulations, Cindy. I'm so happy you'll be in this role this year. You obviously know a lot about the library more than any of us, and so you're well suited and more than ready. And so with that, I turn the meeting over to you, President Hill.
Okay. Thank you. That part I did not understand. So now we have an opportunity to nominate and elect a person for the position of vice president. Are there any nominations? Lisa?
I'd be happy to nominate myself and serve in the position unless someone else has a burning desire to do so.
Is there a second to the nomination? I will second it. So Lisa Schmidt has been nominated and second. So all in favor of the motion, please say aye as Angel goes through the roll call.
That works. Commissioner Meadows. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Aye.
Commissioner Schmidt.
Yes, aye.
Thank you.
Commissioner Epstein.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
And Commissioner Fligor.
Yes.
All right, we got a unanimous vote on that.
And thank you, Lisa, for stepping up to this new opportunity.
Thank you.
And now we have an opportunity to nominate and elect a member for the position of secretary. Are there any nominations? And I would like to nominate Suzanne. Is that all right, Suzanne? Would you accept that?
Of course.
All right, thank you. And is there a second?
I'm happy to second that.
Thank you. So there's been nominated and second. So Angel, will you take the roll call, please?
Yes, if you agree with the nomination for secretary, please say aye. Commissioner Meadows.
Aye.
Commissioner Schmidt.
Aye.
Commissioner Epstein.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Fligor.
Yes.
All right, we have unanimous on the new secretary. Ms. Epstein, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And we will hold off the discussion of the treasurer and the auditor controller until our attorney arrives. And if the attorney does not arrive during our meeting, then we will postpone it to our next meeting. And the second item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes, and we have 3 meetings to approve. And if it's all right with everyone, unless there's any changes to the minutes, I'd like to take them as a full batch, if that's acceptable. Nisa?
President Hill, I just have a couple edits to the minutes of Monday, October 18th, 2021.
All right, so we will take them one at a time. So yes, what are your edits?
So under item 1, the second paragraph, I would like to completely delete that first sentence. It reads, a commission consensus expressed it's been challenging to obtain answers, but with new staff. I just think it's unnecessary to have that, and for other reasons, I really would prefer if we didn't have it as part of our minutes.
All right, do people find that acceptable?
Yes,
Okay,
I think there's a lot of extra verbiage in our minutes that we can eliminate, yes.
all right.
So Angel, that's something for you to know as well. Our commission over the years has discussed, because it depends on the clerk. Every clerk has their own style of writing the minutes. Some are more detailed than others, and our former clerk liked writing these more descriptive minutes. It's her style, but now you can make it your own.
I'll just quickly plant the seed and let you guys know that my style is very action-orientated minutes. There's going to be very minimal detail in terms of conversation. It's going to be primarily centered around actions and motions and your votes.
Right, so decisions, motions, and actions would be the best for me. Suzanne, I think did you have any comments about those minutes or another?
Yeah, so these minutes, but also there's some on Angel, and sometimes when we have discussions that we decide not to go to a motion, that should be picked up in a very brief statement. Mine are just edits, and they're just
cosmetic.
Yeah, sort of. I'm trying to think, what am I thinking of? Anyway, in the first paragraph, on the 4th line, she's got being deposited on a date certain was, I think it was a certain date.
Yeah.
And then on the next page, second page, at the number 2, she starts off, the commission is, can city provide? So I think the commission is not supposed to be there. I think it starts with can city. Okay, so that's just it.
All right.
Clean up.
So any other changes to the minutes? All right, with the changes of the minutes as amended, is there a motion to approve the minutes? Sally moves.
So moved.
And is there a second?
I'm happy to second it.
Thank you, Lisa. All in favor of approving the minutes as amended? Angel?
Thank you. Before I call roll, just to confirm, we're only taking on 2A. This is the minutes for the 18th of October. Thank you.
Correct.
Great.
Angel, we should check if there's any public comment.
Thank you.
Those listening in, if you have something to say in terms of these minutes, now is the time. Please use the raise hand feature. President Hill, I see no members of the public with
All right.
in terms of this item.
So please take the roll call.
We'll call roll. So if you are in favor of the minutes as amended, please say aye. Commissioner Fligor?
Yes.
Commissioner Meadows?
Aye.
Secretary Epstein?
Aye.
Vice President Smith?
Yes, aye.
And President Hill?
Aye.
All right. Minutes of the October 18th meeting has been adopted unanimously.
Thank you. And on special meeting of November 15th, 2021, are there any changes for the minutes? Seeing none, is there a motion to pass the minutes as submitted?
So moved, Flagger.
And then Sally has raised her hand for seconding. Thank you.
Actually, I was going to propose
Oh,
we take both the 15th and December 13th at the same time
all
because,
right.
yeah.
All right, so let's combine the motion to include both of the special meetings. And Commissioner Flagler moved and Commissioner Meadows seconded. So Angel, please take the roll call.
All right, if you're in favor of minutes for the meeting in December and November, please say aye. Commissioner Flagler,
Yes.
Commissioner Meadows,
Aye.
Commissioner Epstein,
Aye.
Vice President Smith,
Aye.
and President Hill.
Aye.
Unanimous passing of the minutes of November and December.
Thank you. And Commissioner Flagler, I have a question for you. At the beginning of each agenda item, does the president ask for comments from the public? Great.
Thanks, President Hill. After the item is introduced by staff or whoever is presenting, then we go to the public for comment.
Okay, so in item number 3, does Angel present it?
I am not going to be presenting the item for under item 3. I believe Grace
Okay.
will be presenting that item for us today.
All right, so we're going to move to item number 3, receive the annual audit for fiscal year 2019 to 2020 and discuss the process for future audits and provide direction as appropriate. So then Grace gives her presentation and then I ask for public comments, correct?
So Grace gives her presentation. We first check to see if commissioners have clarifying questions.
Okay,
Then public comment, then discussion, then action.
okay, thank you. Hello,
Hi.
Grace.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So, so this audit is fiscal year 2020. So it's kind of like 2 years. At that time, it was still all the financials were still maintained by City of Los Altos. So we were able to do our audit together with City of Los Altos. And at that time, it was the previous financial staff. So our audit has been clean, and we have issued an unmodified opinion for NCLA, and there's no finding noted. Yeah, so that's but 2 years have been passed, so I don't have extra comment about yeah, so we didn't participate in the meeting in the past. I don't know if the commissioners have any particular questions that I can answer.
All right, let's see, Sally and then Suzanne.
Thank you, Grace. I looked through this and I think there was on, it's page 10 of our PDF, but that's page 4. It's a government-wide financial analysis, a table summary. I think there are some errors in that table. I don't know if you've caught up with me. It's
page 10 of the PDF.
Yes, which is page 4 of whatever part of this document it is that I'm in. I think it's in the maze. Let's see, according to page 1, it is the independent auditor's report. So page 4 of the independent auditor's report. In the table, there's some typos. So if you look under the June 2020 year, so isn't it correct that the total assets should be 5,074,025 rather than the 4.6 million that's carried over, which is the same number from 2019? And similarly, that 5.074 million has somehow ended up at the bottom of the table, and shouldn't that really be 5.060606 as it's mentioned in the first bullet point above in the financial highlights? So that that summary table seems to have gotten a bit messed up in terms of the numbers.
Yeah. So let me check. So this MD part of the MD&A is not this is prepared by the management. There might be some last minute change that hasn't been captured in this one, but I will go back to coordinate. So this one was prepared. I think there might be some last minute change because it was the original. Yeah, sorry about that, but I will coordinate with the.
Yeah, I think it's errors. I don't think it's last minute changes because the numbers, the correct numbers are carried throughout this document, but for some reason in this table, the 2019 number is repeated for 2020 in terms of total assets. And I believe that the unrestricted net position and total net position are wrong and should be 5060606.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
since this is from the
see
auditor,
now
I
it's
think
probably
it's kind of critical that it should be correct.
Yeah, it's not, well, the MD&A is prepared by the management, not by us. It's not part of the, but yeah, I apologize. We also help review this part of the document prepared by the management. Yeah, so I will go back to update this one. Sorry about that.
Okay, all right. So I was confused because it looks to me like it's from Mays, but you're saying the management. Who do you mean by management in this case?
So fiscal year 2020 was prepared by, at that time, it was prepared by the finance staff by City of Los Altos.
Okay, yeah, I think it's
yeah,
just,
I think,
yeah.
And then starting in starting August 21st, 2021, it's no longer prepared by the City of City of Los Altos.
No, but this, okay.
Yeah.
I think they're just typos. I feel like that this document, whoever prepared it probably prepared it right, but it was just a typo on this page but whatever, you'll figure it out.
It's a formula didn't get updated. Yes. Yeah, I will update this one. I will coordinate and let them.
Okay. I don't know if any of the other commissioners notice the same thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you.
And Suzanne?
Yeah. So on that same page, Grace, up under the comments under financial highlights in the second comment, it says the total liabilities decreased by 3,359. The correct number is 3,426. If you just go down to your current liabilities, and you can figure that. So there's that comment. On the next page, page 5, under the NCLA net position, this year it's entered as interest income. There's a line that says interest income. In past years, it has said interest income and unrealized gain and loss, and in fact, it is interest income and unrealized gain and loss on that line. A huge portion of that money is unrealized gain loss. On page 18, and I'm looking at a hard copy, so same booklet, but page 18.
Page 18.
And it's just in your discussion under assets, liabilities, and equity. By this time, at the close of this year, 2020, June 30, 2020, we had a very vast majority of our money in the county investment fund. We have placed it from LAIF into that. But you have a lot of verbiage about LAIF, but not. There should be a discussion about what the county investment fund pool is as well, since that is actually where most of our money is at this point. And that's left off. And that's the same comment for page 22 under the interest and risk, interest risk. It's the same thing. There should have been discussion about our actual financial holdings, not our past ones. It just seems like it wasn't updated from our previous reports.
Yes, noted.
And then the final comment is on page 24, and that is on the chart under excessive revenues over expenditures. The variance is 186,828, not the 42,548 as shown. Again, it's just an error. The variance from the budget to the actual is 186,828.
Oh, yeah. Got it. Yeah. Yeah. I'll go back and check on it.
Okay, thank you.
So it looks like we need to have this information updated and corrected, and then we could receive the annual audit. Does that make sense to do it that way? Okay, so
Yeah, agree. Yeah.
great. All right. So Grace, when you get that done, please send it to us and we will add it to our next NCLA agenda.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you for the feedback.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And now that we've had some clarifying questions, are there any comments from the public?
At this moment in time, if you wish to comment on what you've heard, please use the raise hand feature. President Hill, I don't see anyone with their hands raised at this moment.
Thank you. And are there any commissioners who would like to discuss anything in the audit report?
So President Hill.
Nisa?
Thank you. And thanks, Grace, for that initial update. And I agree with President Hill. I think we should get the updated version. I only caught a couple of the things that were mentioned. So thanks to my colleagues for catching all those other things. And the follow-up to that is, as we know, this audit is for 2020. And so President Hill, I sent you a document via email. I don't know if you're able to look at it. But Marcy, who's our former clerk, had suggested that as part of this discussion, we discuss, the audit for 2021 and getting that on the agenda and working with the county to get that scheduled, because we are running a year behind and running up on 2 years behind. So
Okay.
I just wanted to flag that in case. I just sent you the document, Cindy.
I see it.
Yeah.
All right. Lisa and then Suzanne.
Since this is my first year on the committee, why was the budget so late in being presented? And it's a little scary. There were quite a few errors in it. Will this be different going forward, or am I missing some history? It's just a little strange.
There's a lot of history.
Okay.
Nisa, do you want to answer that question?
Who?
Nisa.
I'm not asking to embarrass anybody. I'm just curious. I don't know what was going on.
No, and I'm sure you've heard bits and pieces of it. Commissioner Schmidt, we've had turnover and we've been trying to figure out our finances for the past couple of years. And so the last meeting we had, I think we were able to close a lot of those outstanding issues. And I feel like we're turning the page and we will need to do some catch up. But I think this is it. I think accepting, the final audit from 2020 and then being able to get the audits for 2021 and 2022, we should be back on track. But there have been a couple things that have happened over the last couple of years that have impacted our financial schedule.
Okay, and Suzanne?
Yeah, my question was following up the previous statement by Nisa regarding the audit for fiscal year 2021. I believe it was just put out for Los Altos. Did you get it, Nisa, yet? Yeah, and ours is at this point still combined with Los Altos, so it should be forthcoming soon. So perhaps for our next meeting, our next scheduled meeting, we can have that on the agenda to see the audit for fiscal year 21.
Is that correct, Suzanne? So for some reason, I thought the county started summer 2021. I'm obviously
our money is already, even at this point, mostly in the county, even at this point. But Los Altos is, there's no difference between the county and LAIF. I think we need to understand that. It's just that we put it in a different, we chose a different bank, basically, for our investment. So in terms of where our money is banked, shouldn't affect any of the administration of it. But anyway, that's probably going to be in our next discussion. But so yeah, so it's part of the 2021 audit at Los Altos. Next year, 22, the one ending this year, all of our money, once it's all in the county, now we can have someone else outside do the audit. But at this point, this is still when we had no financial reports. If you recall,
I remember.
By then, you're on board by then.
Yes, but let's, I mean, I don't want to,
Yeah.
President Hill, I think this may require,
Right.
yeah, because I
So-
want to,
Yeah, so I think we should just put it on the agenda for next meeting to receive hopefully both the
I
corrected.
think both Angel and I have noted that. Commissioner Meadows?
I was going to say it is in the report tonight. The recommended action tonight is discuss and receive annual audit for 19 and 20. And we've asked that to come back after some of these errors have been fixed, and discuss vendor for audit services for 2021 and provide direction for that, keeping in mind some of the points that were just mentioned in the discussion, and then discuss the audit services for 21-22. So I would have thought we can at least discuss tonight, unless we want to make it contingent on seeing 19 and 20 corrected, that we could talk about 2021 and give direction on that tonight. That's what I would propose anyway.
All right.
so if I may, so I want to separate them because as Suzanne said, 2022 is a little bit different. So is the proposal then, because again, I don't want to volunteer the city of Los Altos to do the audit for last year. So is the suggestion then that we hire a third-party vendor to conduct the audit, or would we still have our city? Please, because we're going to have to communicate this to the city of Los Altos. So I want to understand what's being proposed with regards to the city of Los Altos.
Suzanne?
Yeah, so for 21, which we should have been receiving tonight, but we're behind, as we all mentioned. But we're getting very much caught up because they have just released it, I think. It should be part of that already. There should have been no change. There's no change at that point in 21 to what's happening from what happened in 20. It's the same. For our next audit, the one that ends on June 30, 2022, is when we'll hire a different auditor who will just look at our county, where everything is now, our county funds. But for 21, it has to be, it's done basically already, but it's through Mays and it's through Los Altos.
So maybe Grace can weigh in here then. So tonight you did, I'm going to do the year. So 2019 through 2020. And we still haven't done 2020 through 2021. So Grace, is it your understanding, similar to how Mays worked with the city of Los Altos to do the prior year 19 through 20, that you will also work with the city to do 20 through 21?
Yeah, it's a little bit complicated here. So before FY20, the city staff is involved in handling all the accounting information. We are able to, when it comes to bookkeeping, we are able to contact the city finance staff to obtain the information directly. But unfortunately, you know, the reason why they are 2 year a bit low is because because of the turnover and delay keep on so it becomes so a simple audit becomes so complicated and it takes so long. So when it comes, my understanding is after FY21, after 20, when it comes to 21, none of the city of Los Altos is handling any of the accounting part of it. So in order for us to have a good audit, yes,
Suzanne?
Yeah, the city was still handling
Are you
all
trying to say something?
at that time. The city was handling all the accounting at that time.
So let me go to Angel. It looks like he might have some information.
I guess I have some context. Being staff in the city of Los Altos, I have some insight into what's being discussed here. So the 1920s you're asking to have it come back with edits, as we've been talking about. So that's clear. 2021, halfway through that fiscal year, we had the monies, and then halfway through the fiscal year, we turned over the monies to the county. So unless I'm mistaken, so that's been, so we don't have it. So the recommendation from Marcy was for this next fiscal year, have it be the way it was done in the past, where Mason Associates would work with the city and produce the audit, because we'd have half the picture. And then moving forward for the current year that we're in, then you guys would have the opportunity and the choice and to choose your own CPA, your own auditor, however you want to go about it. But that's what I recall from my conversation with Marcy. That's the recommendation, and that's the reason why. Just some additional 2 cents.
Suzanne, any
The same thing
comments?
you were saying, the same thing I'm saying.
Exactly. So we're all in agreement that 2021's audit will be done by the city and Mays. 21-22 we will determine how we're going to go forward with that. All right. So so that is our direction. And I guess
Hill, John Furtado, who is the city's finance director, has his hand raised. So I would love for him to weigh in before we move on.
Yes, so that's interesting because I don't see any of that. So thank you for letting me know.
So under attendees. So if you go down to participants, Cindy.
Yes.
If you click participants, you should see 2 columns, panelists and attendees. Attendees, you'll see the members of the public.
I got it. But okay, so hello, yeah. Mr. Furtado.
All right, Mr. Furtado, I'm unmuting you.
Hi, can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So my name's John Furtado, the new finance director for the city of Los Altos. We would be happy to assist with the audit. There are a few things that would need clarity in terms of how would the auditors actually conduct the audit, because the transactions would be at the county level. We would also need a contact at the county to provide us some of the information that we can incorporate into the system so they have something to audit on. And probably Grace from the audit firm can update us on how she would want to do that.
President Hill, may I make a suggestion, please?
Yes, please.
Can we form a subcommittee to work with Mays and the city and the county to resolve how we're going to do the audits for, I think 2021, 2022, I think we're all in agreement. So to resolve how we're going to do the audit for 23, 2021. And I think Suzanne Epstein and someone else should serve on that subcommittee if she's willing to serve.
Suzanne, are you willing to serve?
If it doesn't get too thorny, yeah.
Okay, let's give it a go. Is anyone
So
else
just
willing?
to,
Grace?
sorry. Sorry, President Hill. So just to be clear here, so our engagement for FY21, is it going to be with City of Los Altos and be our main contact, or is it purely with the authority?
City of Los Altos.
I think, Grace, that's what they're trying to decide. I think there's no doubt about it being under the contract with the City of Los Altos, at least for 2021.
Correct.
We did hold the money still somewhere in August, as per my understanding. It is a very simple audit. I don't see too much of an issue in actually helping conduct this and getting a good resolution out of this. The only concern that I have is that we don't have the data from the county that would.
Right.
And then the secondary concern would be, I don't know how much excess Grace would need to the county records to conduct the audit and make sure that the transactions actually took place the way they should.
So John, are you saying the county report for the end of the fiscal year would not be sufficient?
It would be sufficient as far as I'm concerned, because I'm just going to be recording those transactions. But in terms of audit testing, I don't know if to what level would Grace want to go, whether she'll take it at face value. If I was an auditor, I would like to see some transactions and ask for more data. So she would probably need access besides just the city to the county as well, or a contact of the county who's handling the books.
So let me go back to forming the subcommittee. Suzanne, I'll raise my hand with you so that we can, if we need to, and if the county will find it acceptable, we can write a letter authorizing Grace to have access to the county information that she needs to complete the audit. How does that sound?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
we have no information other than our county statement that we've all received.
Right.
We have no idea about what was happening at Los Altos because we never did receive reports.
So yeah, so we can let Los Altos work with the Los Altos data, and then we can contact the county and let them know that we are authorizing Grace and John to have access to the information for that period of time, for whatever they need, if they can provide it. How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay.
That will work for us. And if the members already have something as a closing statement for 30th of June from the county, if you can share that with me as well, I can have stuff prepared.
Okay.
We'll just ask for directly from the county, I think, John,
Okay.
to be sent to you or Grace or both.
Yeah, and then of course to you and me. So we'll get that going. All right. So we formed a subcommittee.
I'll make the motion, President Hill, to form the
Thank you.
subcommittee. So I
And-
move that we form a subcommittee with President Hill and Secretary Epstein to work with the city staff, county staff, auditors, and any other necessary parties to resolve the 2021 audit for the NCLA.
And is it Sally?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. So is there any additional discussion or questions? All right, Angel, will you please take the role?
Yes, if you are in agreement for the formation of this subcommittee with the identified members, please say aye. Commissioner Fligor,
Yes.
Commissioner Meadows,
Yes.
Secretary Epstein.
Aye.
Vice President Smith,
Yeah, yes, yeah.
and President Hill.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously to confirm the members of your subcommittee would be President Hill and Secretary Epstein.
All right, and we have our direction. And Mr. Furtado, thank you so much for being available. And Grace Singh, thank you also. Sally?
Yeah, I just want clarification. Did we decide to bring 21-22 back for on a different agenda to have the discussion about how we want to deal with that?
Well, it doesn't, it looks like Commissioner Epstein has something to add to it.
Yeah, so Sally, I think what we decided is that we're going to be responsible for finding the auditor for that. I've already reached out to Jackie Flippin, Anissa and Cindy. Remember Jackie Flippin? She's the one who did the presentation to us about the county investment fund, and she's the one who mentioned at the time that there's a number of other outside organizations that have their funds invested in the county investment fund who have audits done, and that she would get information to us regarding who's performing those audits and is familiar with working with the county. I haven't gotten, I've heard back from her, but I haven't got any names yet. But so I'm working with that just to make, and then Marcy has given us a list of a couple people that could be possible auditors as well. So,
so when you say we, you mean the subcommittee will work on bringing those names forward? Is that what I'm hearing? Or you're saying you're working and that's going to end up on another agenda item? I'm just trying to understand.
Another agenda item when we can have some possible choices for us to discuss and select an auditor. Yeah.
Okay, but you are working on that right now.
Well, I've reached out trying to make this. We've got to find someone. Yeah. So yeah. Yes. So made an initial step toward it. Yes.
Okay.
Anyone else has possible auditors? Let me know, and then we'll add it to the list.
So I think this is a really good next step, that we do plan on presenting some a suggestion or two for an auditor at our next meeting. That'll give Commissioner Epstein and myself enough time to evaluate, interview people, figure out capabilities and cost. So let me check in with Commissioner Flygore. Do we need a motion for this?
Yeah,
all right.
That's an expanded scope because what Secretary Epstein is talking about wasn't authorized by the commission. This is Secretary Epstein doing a great job of getting ahead of all of us trying to find an auditor, okay. But we actually didn't authorize it. And I'm fine supporting expanding the scope of the subcommittee to do that as well.
All right. So is that a motion that you're making?
So moved. Thank you, President Hill.
Thank you. And is there a second?
I'm happy to second the motion.
Thank you, Lisa. Angel, it's your turn.
Thank you. Just noting down the motion and the seconds. If you agree to expand the scope of the subcommittee and have auditor options brought to this body for the next meeting, as described here in the conversation, please say aye when called upon. Commissioner Flygore.
Yes.
Commissioner Meadows.
Yes.
Secretary Epstein.
Okay.
Vice President Schmidt.
Yes.
And President Hill.
Aye.
All right, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
So President Hill, I'm sorry to drag out this item,
yes.
just a point of clarification, and I think Secretary Epstein may be able to answer this. From a timeline perspective, Suzanne, when do we, I know, this is not the normal timeline, we're playing catch up. So when's the normal timeline that we normally receive the audit? Is it June?
No,
go ahead.
We receive it theoretically all the way up until a few years ago. We received the audit in January at this meeting for the previous fiscal year. So we should be receiving June 2021 today. So next January, we will receive the audit for June 2022.
So that's good. So the auditor that the subcommittee will be researching, that auditor's role is really to bring us the audit in January 2023.
And it'll be very simple because everything is right in one spot.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for asking that question, Commissioner Flygore. All right. So are there any other questions for us on this topic? All right, I'd like to move on to the next agenda item, which is the county library system update. And Bryant and or Chuck, will you be doing this?
I believe Rose and Chuck will be, but they are attendees, so you may have to promote them.
All right, I'll promote Rose right now. Rose has been promoted. And you said Chuck was the other name?
Chuck Griffin.
Yes, Chuck Griffin.
And promote. Okay, I see them all on the panelist slide.
Hello, good evening. I do have a short presentation, but I don't know if Chuck, do you have anything you want to add before I present, or? Okay, I'll just go ahead then. So good evening, everyone. So before I start, the reason Brian is here is that I want to introduce, I know some of you have worked with him and some of you have not, but I will be actually going on maternity leave. We're having another little girl, and this is my last week. So Brian will be covering for me while I'm on maternity leave. So I just wanted to put a face to his name, and we're very lucky to have him. He works at Los Altos, and so it should be a very smooth transition. And he covered for me last time. So I will go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so I will share a short presentation with you. And let's see. It looks like it's moving. Is it progressing for you guys at all? Or is it just still the first screen?
We're still on your title slide.
Yeah, it looks like it froze on me. Oh, okay. So let me see. Okay, perfect. So I just needed to load. So I'm very happy to announce that we have expanded our hours. This was last Monday, so this is our second week. So now we are open 7 days a week. We are pre-pandemic hours. So Los Altos and Woodland are open 7 days a week. And you'll see our hours here. Our passport office did also open on January 24th, and appointments were starting on that day. So we're very happy to offer that. The only change from pre-pandemic with passport services is that we don't have photo services at this time due to the mask mandate, but we do plan on bringing back the photo services as soon as the mask mandate is gone. And thanks to us being able to extend our hours, we have been able to hire some new staff. So we have some new clerical staff. This is Kitty, we have Tyler, and we have Brandon. We are hoping to also, these are all filling vacancies that we lost before the pandemic, and there was a hiring freeze. So we're happy to fill those again. We have some librarian positions that we are going to be filling, as well as some janitor positions. This is stats for December. I will be getting the January stats tomorrow because today's the end of the month, but we did have a slight dip kind of in September through November, but we're happy to see that items checked out did increase. Looking at other libraries, this was consistent. It wasn't just Los Altos, it was just a system-wide thing, trend that we had. Same with items checked in and patrons served at the library. And patrons served online, we saw a slight increase. That actually stayed consistent. So we're kind of noticing people are, using our online services consistently, but there was a dip more in the in-person services. We had a series of health programs. These were all online. The plan was to have some in person, but just due to the changes in the pandemic, we did revert them all to online programs. I want to thank Brian and his team for putting these programs on in the month of January. And coming up, we had our Silicon Valley Reads kickoff. The theme is the power of kindness, resilience, and hope. Lolly is a big donor to Silicon Valley Reads, and one of their sponsored programs is having a virtual program with Richard Liu, who is the author of Enough About Me. So that program is on March 8th, and it's a Zoom program. And you can sign up on our website, and here's a little bit of information. His book is really good. If you haven't had a chance to read it, it's very entertaining. And we're happy to be able to host him as sponsored by Lolly. And some other programs that the Friends are supporting are some more kind of in-person or take-home programs. We are having in-person programs in the library. They're more passive programs, kind of pick up a kit and take it home type of thing. In March, we're hoping to resume our in-person programming, but we have a kindness bingo, a kindness tree, and a kindness Valentine's during the week of February 7th to the 12th. And looking ahead, the Woodland Library is going to be piloting a new program. I'm not sure if I had mentioned it at the last meeting, but it's called Open Plus. It's provided through, the description from their website is a comprehensive system that allows libraries to provide more flexible hours, making them more accessible to the community, and it complements staff hours. Lolly has actually agreed to fund the first year for us, and the contract has been signed. So we're moving forward with it. It's designed to provide additional hours to the Woodland Library. We're hoping to do it in the mornings before, because they open at 11 every day of the week. So before 11, to just provide a little bit of more flexibility to the community. And so now the contract is signed, we are working on the kind of logistics, working with our IT department to get it set up. And we'll have more information as kind of things develop, and Bryant will be continuing working on that project while I'm on leave. So let me stop sharing, and I'm happy to answer questions.
Commissioner Epstein.
Hey, Rose, thanks for the presentation and good luck to you. We're going to miss you, but we know we're in good hands with Brian. Is there a date on that Open Plus that you're targeting to try to get it started?
So they had given us a timeline of about 12 weeks. And so it really just depends on how quickly things move forward. Just from experience of working with this company, they are a little bit slower. The contract took a little bit longer than we expected. So we will move as quickly as we can, but that's kind of the timeline that they have.
It looks like 3 to 4 months maybe down the road.
Yes, at least.
And will you have any staff present when this is?
So that's what we're working out. The library, the commissioners actually are the ones who did a lot of research on it. We had interviewed a lot of libraries around the country, and the libraries actually didn't have staff there. But we are thinking of starting off with having at least 1 or 2 staff members, just to see how it works. And then as it evolves, we hope to, the whole point is to have minimals. There will be security cameras, and there are security measures in place, and we are taking those into account as we prepare.
Okay, sounds good.
Are there any other questions? All right, I'd like to see if there are any public comments.
If you have a public comment, please use the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen. I see none, President Hill.
Thank you. And I just want to check in with Chuck Griffin to see if you have anything from the county level.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Nothing more than what Rose already provided, other than this Saturday is our annual forum. So I assume you all have the invites and hopeful that you're all going to attend. Should be fun.
I will be there, Chuck. Thank you for the reminder. In fact, I had to cancel something that I had overscheduled, so I appreciate the reminder. All right, so let's move on to the next agenda item, which is
President Hill. I just want to quickly say congratulations, Rose. We will miss you. I know we're in great hands with Brian, but we look forward to you coming back.
Thank you.
And we look forward to pictures. Both of the girls. All right, so the next item on the agenda is a review of the Los Altos Library Endowment funding by Cindy Hill. So I will take over. I will present my presentation. Let's see, this is. All right, so I'm not quite sure exactly what we wanted to go over, but so I put together some information, and I will go through the slides. And of course, I will always be glad to come back with additional information. As you all know, I am the president of the Los Altos Library Endowment last year and also again this year. So I have a lot of the information, and I did get information from, oh, now my slide's not moving. There it is. I did check in with people who've been much more connected to Lolly over the many decades that it's been around. So it was established. There was conversation about Lolly being created by the Friends in the late 1999, 1998. And in January 12th, 2001, the Friends of the Library established Lolly, and it was triggered by a donation from Miss Whipple's estate. And so in 2006, Lolly started to invest with BOS, which is now Certity. They were just not acquired, but they merged with Certity, and I'll give you some more information later about that, with about $2 million that went into a general fund account. In 2017, based on direction by NCLA, the Library Commission, and Lolly, the Friends, we decided, the Lolly board decided to create a building fund because we also were given additional Whipple funds that were transferred into Lolly. And so we used those funds to create the building fund. So we now have an operation or general fund, and we have the building fund. So currently, as of January 2022, we have 4.6 million in the general fund, and the building fund has 2.8 million. It's down a tiny bit because, as you know, for between December and January, the market just went haywire and not in the positive direction. But we're not looking for the highs and lows. We're looking for an even band overall. Lolly has been using BOS for investment and advice and funding for its inception of when we started these accounts. And a board member did connect Lolly with a BOS. And one of the things I learned a couple of weeks ago when we were having our quarterly meeting with BOS is that they do have extensive experience working with nonprofits. In fact, one of the Certity individuals who we've worked with for many years, Jennifer Ellison, she was on the Friends of the Library for Burlingame. She was on their board, and she's now on their finance committee. So she knows libraries, she knows foundations, and she knows investment. So I'm really pleased to have her as our advisor. I wanted to show you that the dark blue, the mountain climbing, this is where we are. So this is where we started in 2006, and this is where we are today. So you can see that overall, we've had really good returns on our investments. The big dip, that was the recession in 2008, 2009, but we came out of it fairly quickly, and it continues to grow with the, many of you know that I work at the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco, and I can identify a lot of these big dips based on the research that our economists are doing at that time. So there's another dip. But this is where we are today. And this is just the general account. I didn't show the building fund account, but it has the same trend line. Oops, excuse me, clicked on the wrong thing. And I wanted to give you some background on our investment strategy. It has been consistent year over year in that we are, I really like the knots. So let's just drop down to the knots. We are not picking stocks. We're not saying, oh, today this stock market, this stock looks really good, and so we're going to switch it in and out. We also aren't using any actively managed stock funds. So we're not depending on a person to tell us what the stock should be doing, what the funds will be doing. And we are not using alternative investments as a requirement, although it is something that Certity has asked us to look into, that we can possibly make better investments by using this as one way of investing our money. And as I mentioned, we're not chasing the market. We're not trying to fish to the bottom or catch the high waves. And we do have a very broad portfolio because we're looking to optimize our return and to keep our risk at a low level. And we do use low-cost funds because we're trying to keep our fees as low as possible. It's invested at about a 30% bonds and 70% stock. And there's a range. And if we go beyond that range, we have to go back to the Lolly board to make that change. But the finance committee and the treasurer can move it up and down 1 or 2%. And then, so as I mentioned, we currently have 2 funds. The general fund is 70% in equities, and so 30% in bonds. And then we'd see the building fund has a more conservative approach with 60% in equities and 40% in bonds. And one of the comments that the Certity individuals made a few weeks ago, not knowing that I was going to be giving this presentation, is that they said that that the Lolly board has been consistent in our decision making, and that we are not asking them to swing back and forth and chase the market. So again, I was impressed that not only is that's boss's Certity's advice, but also our board's advice to take that direction, to be conservative, but work towards high dividends. Just wanted to let you know that over the years, we have distributed $634,000 to the library and to the county, and that we, on average, we see an annual growth of 7%. Some years it's much higher, and some years, of course, it's down, but overall, that's what we have. So this is the end of my presentation, and I welcome any questions. And I'm going to stop share unless we want to go back to see some slides. Oh, Sally?
Yes, thank you. I was going to ask about the slide where you showed the impressive returns growing in. You have a future if you want to leave the Fed Reserve at some point and be an investment advisor. But you also showed a blue line on that same slide with some decreasing, I think it was labeled net.
Yes, and I should explain. I believe that that is it's a trend line to show you where others have been, like the S&P and others. It's a chart that BOS puts together, and that trend line is not ours. It's other organizations.
Okay, all right.
So it's to give us a comparison of basically how well we're doing.
Okay, and so then it's not what I thought it was, but you've done so well because you had a very generous corpus to start with.
Yes.
And have been able to invest that. I wonder if your annual donations play much of a role, or they're probably just a fraction of certainly where your revenues are now.
That's an excellent point to bring up. Yes, they are a small fraction of what we get. We get anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 a year in donations. Some years we get pretty substantial ones from a single donor or family donor. Sometimes there are deaths, and that person has put in their will or trust that more money they want to have sent to the library. And then some donors either pass away, so obviously they're not going to be donating again, or others have just taken a break. In fact, we did have one donor indicate that, I think it was 2 years ago, that donor said that they were moving their money into other not-for-profits for that year because they had a stronger interest that time. One thing we do when we send out our requests for donations, we actually write personal notes on them. In addition to the standard newsletter and other information, we handwrite notes. And I'm doing this because I wrote about 40 of them this year. And I really enjoy doing it because I look at the person that I'm writing it to, and I tailor that message, especially if I know the person. And then when we get a donation, again, we have a standard letter, but we write a special note to them too. So.
Thank you for that. And so basically the growth is largely from the original investment and other, not to say that you poo-poo your annual, but
exactly,
right.
exactly.
Okay. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, we were very fortunate that she was so generous to the library, and that Lolly is I would say, the trustee of the account. Lisa?
Yeah, thank you. I'm still working my way the difference between Lolly and the money that the Joint Powers has. So that's a large amount of money. Is it going towards anything in particular? Giving it away at $500,000 or $600,000 a year seems like there's more opportunity to invest in something larger, because well, anyway, I'll leave my question at that. And I also have the same question for our money, though I think that maybe is a future discussion. Just, I look at, for example, the Los Altos Hills County Fire District. That big pot of money suddenly looked very appealing to other people,
Right.
instead of having it spent. And I'm wondering if we're running into a similar problem with both these large accounts of money that aren't being used for to really benefit the library.
Right. So Lolly, by tax law, can give 4.5% every year of our corpus to the library or to the county. And we continually work with the library and the county to see how we can invest. And so that's where the Open Plus project came about, and also the GoGo Biblio. And we do have a large corpus. We just need to find ways to spend it appropriately. We also every year contribute to the Whipple collection, which is about $20,000, I believe, Rose. And then also we will, when there's special projects that Rose brings forward to us, we will consider funding those. So we're in constant communication. And the building fund was actually set aside in anticipation, in partnership with NCLA and other groups. If we were going to go forward with the remodel, there would be a starting point for the city of Los Altos to use that money. So it's in our it's not in our bylaw, it's in our resolution that when everybody, all the parties agree to remodel, rebuild the library, then and the plans are in place and we hit go, then we turn that money over to the city. So, and just to remind you, I'll get to you in just a moment. The city owns the building, the county owns all of the insides of the building and the maintenance. And so, Commissioner Flagler.
Thanks, President Hill. I was smiling when you were going through because I was also pleased to see the amount of money we have there for libraries. So 2 quick questions. One, are there any restrictions on the non-building fund, how that money is spent? I know you mentioned the library and the county, but I wasn't sure if that's a self-imposed restriction or if these restrictions were somehow imposed at the time of donation. And then my second question, and this may just be me, Cindy, not understanding. At some point, I thought the city of Los Altos had some involvement in the administration of these funds. Do we have a role? No. Strictly the Lolly board. Yes. We have no role with regards to these. Okay.
No, I was rereading the bylaws and there is no mention of the city. Lolly was formed from the Friends. It was almost like a child of the Friends. And many of the Friends came onto the Lolly board, and over the years it's changed, and we always are looking for more board members, and the Friends would be our first place to go. Suzanne? Because Suzanne has even more background.
Yeah, and Elaine, I think, is listening in, Elaine Dauber, and she has further background. So I have 2 questions. One is, Cindy, in your general fund, can you transfer any of that to the building fund? Can you donate to the building fund?
I believe the answer is yes.
Okay, and are you restricted with how much you can donate to the building fund?
I would have to find that out. I'm not sure.
Okay, so that was one question. The second one is more clarification, perhaps. The transfer of the building money to Lolly wasn't from NCLA direction. It was from the JPA direction.
Right.
JPA had the money. They were investing it. Through an effort of John Mordeau's, it was felt that there could be more money earned on it with less restrictions that the county had by putting it into Lolly. But that money actually, I think the city does have some say on that building fund. So I think that's where NISA was coming from. It's not the Lolly money in the general fund. That's just Lolly has to say on that. But the building fund, I believe, is, I don't know whether it's just the city or whether it's a consortium of all the library entities in our city coming together. But so anyway, so that's available that is available for purposes of remodeling our library.
Absolutely. I mean, that was why the building fund was created. But I don't see that statement in either the building fund policy statement or the investment statement or in the resolution.
Which resolution? Is it the one from the JPA?
No, this is the resolution from the Lolly Board of Directors about the transfer of the Whipple funds to Lolly.
Originally, you mean back in 2001?
No, in 2017 when we were creating the
so that's the ones we're talking about, the building.
Right. Yeah.
So I think in the motion from the JPA to actually, and Chuck may actually know this, so maybe Chuck, if you're still there, can tune in. But yeah, so I think that is something that the city has some say or a lot of say in how it's going to be spent.
Yeah, that's my recollection too. And I think that Cindy alluded to it earlier. So when you hit go on the new or remodel building, all parties have to agree. The city, of course, because it's their building. Us and Lolly, we all agree. Okay, it's time to make it happen. But I don't think Lolly can really, they'd have to have a very good reason to withhold it. But yeah, it really is. The city has a project ready to go, and then the money changes hands.
Lisa.
So our money right now is about $5.7 million. And what is that being targeted for? We don't have yearly expenditures that look anything like it. Is the goal that we're going to build it up and do a remodel of the library? Like I said, I get worried that we're not using this for things that help people instead of just sitting on big piles of money.
Okay, I think it's relative in that we are spending as we get requests from the library and from the county. It's just that, as I mentioned, we have a very large corpus, and so it doesn't look like we're spending much, but we spend what we are asked to spend, and if we agree with that spend. So, and I agree with you that most likely a lot of that corpus could be moved. If it can be moved over to the building fund, then that just increases how much we can use. So, Suzanne?
No, I thought Lisa was asking about our fund, and I was going to respond on that, but that's in their next agenda item. So I think we'll hold until then to talk about our fund. Let's focus on Lolly right here.
Okay.
So I guess the other question was, well, maybe it can wait. I wanted to know how how our funds could be directed and combined with Lolly funds if there was a desire to remodel, if that's a reasonable discussion to have. Or
okay.
I don't know what the library needs.
Next agenda topic.
Yeah, and I will take these comments back to Lolly because we meet next Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. And I will be sure to put this on the agenda. I will send you the agenda in case any of you would like to join us at 8 a.m.
What day was that?
Tuesday morning.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And I'd like to see if there are any comments from the public.
Members of the public, if you wish to speak, please raise your hand. President Hill, I see no hands raised.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And thanks for the opportunity to talk about the funds that Lolly has. And so I will move on to the next agenda item, which is number 6, the NCLA financial status update. Commission will provide direction as appropriate. So is there somebody who's going to kick off this talk? Is that Angel?
I am seeing, let's see. So I have I'm referencing my notes. The county financial statement is included in the packet. I'll see all, yeah.
My understanding is there's no one to present it, President Hill.
Okay.
The former clerk included it in the packet for us to review and discuss.
All
But
right.
there's no one to lead the discussion.
Suzanne, would you like to lead the discussion?
Well, I think Angel is right. The thing that he's provided is the county. He provided the general ledger and the trial balance from the county. I think he also sent those out to us earlier as of the end of December. But what we need are NCLA, the clear reports that all of us can read, because I don't think many of us can look at this and really decipher which number we should look at, because there's, you know, whatever. We're not the financial people. And so there, I think, Angel, Marcy shared with you some of our past forms that we've used to present to the commission. You know, you pulled out the numbers from that report, but so it's easy for us to just get the picture really fast. So mainly they're management reports. I think, did she share those with you?
No, but well, I'm reading okay, well, that context makes a whole lot of sense with my chicken scratch, as my mother would say, as I was writing down my notes with my conversation with her. And I wrote down here, standardized financial report will be prepared for future meetings, but I didn't recall what that meant. But right now you just connect that there's a template that I'm supposed to plug in those numbers to. Yeah,
there's a few little reports, and there, once you have the template, as you say, it's really easy, just plug in the numbers, but it's what helps us and allows us actually to manage our funds. We do actually need it to have that visibility. And I can work with you, Angel, just to get that started, if you wish. So reach out to me if you want to just try to get those forms up to date and easy to use. And then that's what you would present to us at the meetings. Right now we don't have those, so there's nothing to discuss.
Deal, and I will reach out to you just for the record so that everyone knows here.
Okay. But Lisa brought up earlier questions that we can talk about now.
Yeah, as opposed to details, I guess I'm more interested in a philosophical discussion. Just from my little understanding, it looks like we don't spend a great deal each year, and we have more surplus than we are spending. So, am I wrong about that, or?
Cindy, do you want me to answer? Or?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we actually are spending a lot of money, Lisa, but we just haven't in the last year and 2 years because of COVID. But starting now, we're going to be back to spending. But it's almost getting to be $1 million a year that we're going to be spending. But we also get in $1 million a year or so. But so one of the reports that Angel would be providing us with is called a fund balance projection. And we have a parcel tax, which is the same amount of money for 20 years. So at the beginning of our 20 years, it really builds up with funds. And then at the end of our 20 years, it starts coming down, and it's supposed to have been figured out so that it ends at 0. Because you're supposed to spend what you have collected on a parcel tax for the purpose of that the parcel tax was for, not just for anything else that sounds like we have extra money. So very important. Right now, though, we are way ahead, as you said. So even when we do look at this fund balance projection that Angel will hopefully provide us with next meeting, you'll see that we're going to have around $5 million extra that we shouldn't have. We should have. It was because we have actually, that was figured out wrong, the amount of money that we needed to collect as a parcel tax is actually higher than what we needed. So we are in a bind, and we do have to make a decision as a board how to deal with that. The parcel tax is collected for a certain purpose, so we can't spend it willy-nilly. We can try to work within those purposes to get some of the things that we want done for our library, though. And that's where we need to decide what it is we want to do, and also make sure we're legally on sound footing. The other thing we can do, there's two other things we can do. We can stop collecting the parcel tax. The third thing we can do is extend how long, we'll not renew it at 2030, but it'll go for another 5 years or whatever, renew it at that time. So we have some options. We are restricted in what we can spend it on. So those are things that we really do need to consider this year.
Well, it's a lovely problem to have too much money and trying to figure out what good things to spend it on. I'd rather have that problem than the other one.
Sally?
Yes, thank you, President Hill. So this might be a good time, and if it's not a good time, I'll reserve it to commissioners' reports and comments. But the Library Commission on January 6th also asked to understand NCLA's ability and remit to support capital projects. So I think that is part of the overall discussion, because if you look at Lally, you look at NCLA, and potentially look at the Friends, what resources might we have available to think about capital library improvements?
Commissioner Epstein?
Yeah, I didn't know if you were going to say something, Cindy.
No.
Yeah, so it's come up before about trying to use the NCLA money for capital projects, and that isn't one of our assigned purposes for our money. It's for services. It's for it's mainly for additional hours. It's for staffing services or making sure that services continue or not disrupted at the library. So legally we have some bounds, but if we can somehow formulate a remodel that is for the purposes of continuing services, if we can somehow get this past our legal hurdle, then yeah. But right now, that's really, we can't just say, yeah, let's put it in the building fund, for an example.
So,
Commissioner Meadows and then Commissioner Flygore.
Yeah, sorry. I want to pull up something from the auditor report. I think that's where I made these. So on page 23 of 54 of the PDF, which is page 17 of, this is the notes regarding the policies, accounting policies. Reporting entity is described in this as the authority was created to provide financing for capital improvements and additional services by the public libraries serving the area. And then it goes on in a couple of paragraphs after that on the same page to say certain types of transactions are reported as program revenues for the authority in 3 categories. 1, charges for services. 2, operating grants and contributions. And 3, capital grants and contributions. So there seems to be some misunderstanding if the auditors would identify it differently than we are. So I do think we need to get to the bottom of this discussion.
So let me go to Commissioner Flygore and then Commissioner Epstein.
Thank you, President Hill. And I'm curious where the auditors pulled that language, because I agree with Secretary Epstein's description. It's very limited. On the one hand, the parcel tax language is very limited in how we can use the funds, but on the other hand, the language describing it is somewhat broad in the sense that if we can justify that it's related to enhancing services, maybe that's the way to legally justify it. But to Vice President Schmidt's question, and I've been part of NCLA 3 years now, and this has come up a couple times, as Secretary Epstein has said, where we've asked, can we use NCLA funds for this? Can we use it for that? And we go through this analysis relying on legal. If it's not obvious, if it's not how we've been using it to date, then we do look to legal to tell us whether or not we can use it in that way. So one thing I would encourage Vice President Schmidt, if you think of, a way we could use the funds, I recommend bringing it forward, and then we do that analysis, because it's not black and white. It's not as clear cut, like it's yes or no. It really depends on if you can tie it to enhancing services for a library system.
So I'm sorry.
So Commissioner Epstein and then Commissioner Schmidt.
Yeah, so with regard to Sally's question, so there's two different documents that we have, and this gets confused a lot. We have the JPA agreement, which gives us broad powers, and one of them is to build libraries. And then we have a parcel tax, and we can have several parcel tax. We could have bond measures, we could have grants, we have all kinds of things, and we can use them for different purposes. But we have a parcel tax right now, one source of money, and it is defined for what that parcel tax was collected for. And it's to basically uphold services, not necessarily enhance, but anyway, it's for the services, and definitely not for building facilities. And that was actually a big discussion prior to the renewal of the parcel tax, because the prior parcel tax did include money for facilities, for remodeling the library. It was a big discussion as to whether any of this parcel tax was to be for facilities, and the board, and there's minutes of the board that say, no, this is just to go for hours and books and upholding services.
All right, Lisa.
So when was this parcel tax first enacted?
Suzanne.
Yeah, so in 1985, we started an NCLA parcel tax. That was for 5 years. It was to pay for the hours that had been cut by the county and city because of loss of funds. They didn't have the funds to keep the library open. And the citizens, their group of citizens, approached the two cities saying, if we tax ourselves and all the money would go to paying staff to keep the library open and buy books, can we do that? And so that's how it all happened. So the first 5 years. Then when it came for the renewal in 1990, again, group of citizens, it really came through the Library Commission wanting to remodel the library. And they approached NCLA saying, can we add on to your renewal of the hours to include money for the facility to remodel it? That's how we remodeled it in 1990. 2010 is when we had our last renewal of this parcel tax. And then it was discussed whether there should be anything for facilities or whether it should just be for the hours. And it was decided nothing for facilities, only for the hours. And that's what we have now. That's the money we have now. The other thing I should bring up, Lisa, is originally it wasn't a set fee. Every year the board would meet and decide and ask the Chuck equivalent of the county, how much is needed for the next year to pay for staffing for the hours to keep our library open. And they would only collect that money. So they went from year to year just collecting what they needed. This last parcel tax, though, we had a set fee, $76. And they did hire a consultant to figure out how much they needed to pay for the staffing and the expected increases for 20 years. And he came up with the 76.
All right, Lisa.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I have the opportunity, because I'm a representative to the library board or as well, and I get to see Chuck's excellent presentations. And quite frankly, it seems like the library system for Santa Clara is just doing wonderfully well. And that makes me think, do we need to keep doing this if they're financially in such good shape? Does it make sense to have a separate parcel tax? I don't know the answer to any of these things. I just feel a bit worried to see this big sum of money that isn't being spent on anything, and we don't and there doesn't seem a great need to contribute a great deal to the Santa Clara library system because it's doing so well and is so well run. I mean, it's very impressive. So that's the reason I'm asking all these questions. I'm sorry I'm rehashing stuff you guys have already been through,
No,
but that's
it's very helpful to get your new perspective on it. And I'm so pleased to hear that you're part of the Santa Clara County Library JPA. I tend to listen into those meetings, so you might see my name up there. And I want to go back many, many decades, having grown up in the Valley. The county does go up and down. So we are in a very strong upward fiscal situation right now, but it is also very possible that things could go bonkers and that we would need it. And that is exactly why the first parcel task was created, was because the city and the county lost tax revenues from the state. So we never know what's going to happen. And we also have a community of Los Altos Hills and Los Altos that is highly supportive of strong libraries and strong services. So I think that this is appropriate for us to look at what to do if we do have this extra funding at the end. We never thought we would have the pandemic situation, so that we did not spend the money on the hours for Woodland and the main library like we would have spent. In addition to that, we just have a really healthy tax base right now. So Suzanne and then Sally.
Sally can go first.
Sally.
I was just going to say, I don't think we've taken public comment, and so I don't know if you want to do that.
Let me check in with Suzanne and then I will take public comment. Thank you.
I was just going to make along Lisa's thought process. It may be very likely, Lisa, when we get to 2030, that there won't be a need to have a separate tax. We're the only cities in the county that are doing this, and the other county libraries also have library lovers and really support their libraries too, as Cindy knows. And so it's very likely, but right now this is a situation we're in, and we do have to figure out what we're going to do.
Right. All right, Angel, will you see if there are any public comments?
Yes, those are still here with us, would like to speak, please raise your hand. I have one hand raised.
All right.
By the name of MJ. I will ask you to unmute here really quickly.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to say that I really appreciate all the questions and all the thoughtfulness that you're going through here, because it's $76. We love our libraries, but we also are facing increasing costs and inflation, and we really appreciate your taking the time to think whether we really need to keep collecting the money, and if so, how to spend it.
Thank you, MJ.
President Hill, I see no other members with their hands raised at this time.
All right. So is there any further discussion? Nisa?
So President Hill, obviously there's no urgency here, but I wonder if it would be valuable at our next meeting, whatever that is, to share with the commission how we've spent these funds to date, because I do think there may be opportunities for us to spend the funds that we haven't explored yet. And I think it would be good for us as a commission to also have that discussion.
Okay, thank you. I've added it to our future agenda. Any other comments or observations? All right. Oh, yes. Commissioner
I just
Meadows.
want to thank everybody. I agree with with MJ. This was a very good discussion, and thanks for those of you that have the history. It's helpful. I know you've probably told us more than once, but it might take
three
more times. Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome. And thank you, Suzanne, for providing all the background and color commentary. It's very helpful. I'd like to move on to the next item, which is number 7, discussion of adding unincorporated territories to the next tax measure. And that will be Commissioner Epstein.
Interesting follow-up item.
I know, yeah, now it's now like bad lead-in. Okay, so this, I'm just going to this is an introduction of this topic, which has been on the agenda and off the agenda all year long. So the current JPA defines the boundaries of our special tax district. That's what we are. NCLA is a special tax district as the boundaries of the member entities, Los Altos and Los Altos Hills. So our libraries, though, serve a larger area of including areas of unincorporated. And so the number of unincorporated parcels that are in the library, Los Altos Library area of influence is almost equal to the number of parcels in Los Altos Hills. So this is not an insignificant number. And the only reason we're actually bringing this up is because we were talking about going to our public to fund a new library. And so that actually would cost a lot of money to fund a new library, and it should be shared among all those who are actually benefiting from our library. And that's come up several times. Originally, so this is not a new topic. This topic has popped up continuously and right from the start. In 1986, when NCLA was formed, the question came up regarding unincorporated parcels and residents who are in the Los Altos Library area of influence. And the County Board of Supervisors at that time signed an agreement with NCLA saying that the county would, quote, provide its matching share of funding for the unincorporated population, end of quote, in addition to the normally provided county funding for the two Los Altos libraries. Initially, this was calculated each year, and then it became a flat 10%. The 10% continued through fiscal year 16-17. So when we would get our budget from the county that's saying this is how much it would cost for our staffing that NCLA will be funding for the extra hours, NCLA would pay 90% and the county library fund would pay 10% of that. Okay, so the parcel count, right now Los Altos has 11,005 parcels. Los Altos Hills has 2,971, and the Santa Clara County unincorporated parcels that use our library, 2,505. That number came from Chuck Griffin, and that number was from Chuck Griffin in 2017, an email from 2017. This is letting you know that this topic keeps popping back up. Nalima at LAFCO reports that there are 1,264 parcels in the urban service area of Los Altos and Los Altos Hills. 1,264 in Los Altos and 212 are in Los Altos Hills. These are in the country club area, the opposite side of Magdalena between Foothill and Summerhill up to El Monte, Eastbrook area on the west south side of 280, and the South Los Altos Hills along Mora and down to Rancho San Antonio. These are all pockets within our, sort of surrounded by our boundaries that are unincorporated. They're just like all the rest of us, they love their library. Those parcels that are in the urban service area of Los Altos and Los Altos Hills would be the easiest ones to capture in designing a new service, tax service area. But that does leave out another almost equal amount that are unincorporated properties that are assigned to our library. When I say assigned to our library, they actually, the taxes that they pay for their library tax, which is not the NCLA tax, the library tax that the county, that you also all are paying to the county. When Chuck is designating where that library tax, which library gets it, those are the parcels that are in the county that are going to our Los Altos library. Over the years, the discussion of including the county parcels in NCLA has come up. When looking at the new bond measure for the library and to renew the parcel tax, it once again is important to seriously consider this. The options we have, we've actually have a legal opinion on this from 2018. The options we have, the town of Los Altos Hills and the city of Los Altos could annex the unincorporated islands into their cities. That would be the easiest thing. We wouldn't have to do anything.
Good luck on that one.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, so that's what LAFCO would love to have happen. The second option is the county could form a special tax district to extend the special tax to those additional parcels. That would be a CFD, a Community Facilities District. The third one is probably the most likely, and that would be that NCLA requests the county to become a member of NCLA. And then we basically form a new JPA, a new tax district that incorporates that portion of the counties that are served by our Los Altos libraries. So that next time, if we ever do go to renew the parcel tax, or if we are funding a new library, have some other reason for library funding, we are reaching all the people who enjoy our library. So that is why I'm bringing this discussion up as to whether we want to do anything. Before it was urgent because we actually thought we were going to go to have the vote for a new library. Right now, I think that's off the table. But maybe the urgency isn't there, but the topic still rears its head, and it will take time to accomplish. So we can't wait till we want to actually go to ballot.
So are there any questions? Commissioner Flygore?
Thank you, President Hill, and thanks as always, Secretary Epstein. I think I've heard you make this pitch a couple of times before, especially when we're thinking about a library bond. So, you know, just to clarify on the timeline and to backtrack from 2030, because that's how I view it. If we were to expand the geographical scope of the next parcel tax, or expand the special district geography, that would be 2030 versus if we're going out for a bond measure, which right now has been tabled. And we don't know when that may come up again. So I'm just curious from a timeline perspective, if we're really just looking at special district parcel tax that expires 2030, backtracking from there, when would we need to determine whether we want to include these unincorporated areas? Do we need to do polling? Like, what does that look like? What are the steps to lead to that decision? And is NCLA the body that would make that determination?
Are you asking me? Okay, I think NCLA is the body that would actually be the instigator. But who we would go to are the two cities, the two member entities now. And with their definite support and agreement of wanting to proceed, because we need them actually to reach out to the county. And I think, and I talked to Kavita about this way back a year ago when I thought it was going to be Kavita and Nisa, who were the two mayors who would be we'd be dealing with on this. Anyway, Kavita is with special, Joe Shemidian's our rep, so he's the one we would approach because it would go before the board of supervisors. We definitely need Joe on board, and if he's on board, he'll get the others. If he's not, don't go anywhere. Anyway, she was saying it's a very slow process. We don't just approach him. We have to start with a series of emails about what the needs are, the thinking. Anyway, it's a program. Once we get him on board, then it still is there's a lot of time just to make it an accomplishment to actually create a special tax district. And I would give it at least 2 years to do that. So you're talking 3 years, but also, Nasa, if you actually were to renew the parcel tax in 2030, you don't wait till 2030, you actually do it in 2029. So now you're looking 4 years back. So at least by 2016, I felt the urgency because of the new library bond measure or tax or parcel tax, because that was going to be a lot of money. We were talking about raising $60 million. And so having, missing out on a big group of people who could be part of it was important. So, yeah.
No doubt, Suzanne. That's why I separated the library bond from the special tax.
All right, Commissioner Schmidt?
Hi, I think, Suzanne, you hit the nail on the head. Before we start having this conversation, we need to decide what our needs and goals are. And I have no feeling right now whether we should ask to bring this group in or not, because I don't know what we're planning to spend money on or what our goals are. So that to me seems to be the next step, is to have that conversation. And it may take a while to have a good conversation along those lines.
And Commissioner Meadows?
Thank you. So you may have said this, but I'm not sure I understood. So the county looks at those unincorporated residents, assigns them to our libraries already due to geography, presumably. And it sounded like there's some level of funding on the county's part for that head count, if I heard correctly, and I may not have. So how does that county funding for those head count compare to the level of funding we're the $76 we're getting annually from our city residents rather than unincorporated residents?
So Chuck can jump in anytime he wants. You got me, Sally, because I can't remember the exact amount of money for the parcel tax that the county is collecting, but it's much smaller than ours. It's maybe Chuck, how much is the parcel tax?
The entire amount of the JPA's parcel tax, the library JPA's parcel tax is about $6 million.
Yeah, but the amount that each parcel pays is like 35 or something?
$33.66.
Close. 30, okay. So that money, Chuck, so the money that is collected from those parcels that are assigned, those unincorporated parcels that are assigned to the service area of Los Altos and Woodland, that money gets attributed to Woodland and Los Altos.
Right. So that's really, so we're really talking about a net difference of $43 per head. So no, it's not 76 from nothing.
No, Sally, we all pay that money.
Oh, we're all paying that, and then we pay it. Okay, never mind. Right. Not a net. Okay.
Okay.
So it is 70. It is 76 net.
Additional.
Yes, additional.
Yes. Of Los Altos Hills.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Chuck.
Are there other questions or comments? And then I will check with the public. Excuse me. Angel, will you see if there are any public comments?
Yes, if you'd like to speak on this item, please use the raise hand feature so we can call on you. I see no one with their hand raised at this time. President Hill.
Thank you. So we had a lot of clarifying questions and a conversation discussion in there. Is there any additional conversation or discussion we'd like to have? And is there an action, Suzanne, that you would like to have us take?
I'm not going to propose an action at this time. I'm glad that I finally presented this to this new group of commissioners. Right. But it is something to keep in mind if we are ever going to go to the public again for a tax measure, that this is something that we should do just to be fair. It has come up, and I do have copies of some different articles where people have questioned the fact that there are certain areas like the country club area that is not paying. And so it is bound to come up if we go out to ballot again, and we can avoid it, but including everybody.
Commissioner Flygore?
No, thanks. And I agree with Secretary Epstein. That's why I'd asked the timeline question. I do think, if we backtrack from 2029, in 2024, I guess in a couple of years, we should start, as Vice President Schmidt said, even the discussion about whether to renew the parcel tax is going to be a long discussion. So, I don't know if I will be around in a couple of years. But I agree that this is something that we should keep on our radar. And then obviously, if the library bond comes back or any bond related to the library, this should be raised again.
Yeah, that's when you have a concern if you have enough time.
Right.
It's my last year on the commission, so.
So you think.
You're gonna have to write a playbook, Suzanne. Like everything we need to know about NCLA.
Right. All right. Well, thank you for that very thorough explanation. And you've given us a lot to ponder and to think about. So thank you, Suzanne. Moving on to the next one, which is the declaration of local health emergency. And I believe, Angel, will you present that?
Yeah, so you guys have made it a practice since we've been over the last couple months to continue to enact or voting these into action, and essentially these allow us to have this body meet virtually, and we've been advised to renew these every 30 days. So this is in front of you for that purpose, and again, that purpose is for us to be able to meet for the next month digitally, should we desire.
Commissioner Meadows.
So President Hill, I move that we adopt resolution 2022-01, resolution of the NCLA declaring the existence of a local emergency due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
And is there a second?
Yeah.
Suzanne, saw your hand first. So it's been moved and seconded. So we take the vote, please.
Yes, those in favor to accept this resolution, please say aye. Commissioner.
Could there be discussion?
Oh.
Yes, thank you. So Angela, please see if there are public comments.
We have MJ with her hand raised. MJ, you are free to speak.
Thank you. And it's been so convenient to have this on Zoom, but I'd really like you to reconsider whether you want to keep it on Zoom because of a public emergency. Our libraries, as I said at the beginning, are thankfully fully open daily. Our employees in the libraries and our residents are there face to face, well, maybe mask to mask. And what message are you sending to them if you're saying that 2 years into this, it is still a public emergency for your meetings, but not for them? And it'd be easier for us to see each other and respond and everything else if we were in a real room, even though I know it's not as convenient for our personal lives as it would be to be on Zoom. And you don't have a meeting scheduled in 30 days. So I would really urge you to think about potentially not declaring the emergency, and then only if something besides Omicron, which is going down now, something much worse starts, that you would then decide to do it that way. Because I'd really like to be there in person with all of you too.
Thank you, MJ. So discussion, Lisa?
Where do we normally meet? I've only been on the commission since it's met via Zoom.
We normally meet somewhere within the city of Los Altos.
Yeah.
We could meet, I think we have also met in the city of Los Altos Hills.
No, but we did.
I've never met, no, the library and the old community center.
Certainly the city of...
I'm sorry. And just and thanks MJ for that comment. I serve on different boards, and we're starting to hear that comment actually. So thanks for that feedback.
Certainly in the city of Los Altos Hills, we're now set up to do hybrid meetings in our council chambers. I don't know why that wouldn't be an option. I'm going to go out on a limb and offer it up for the city of Los Altos Hills.
Thank you. And I want to say, I believe that this vote doesn't mean that we will be meeting virtually. It means that we have the option to meet virtually in the next 30 days, should things go crazy in the wrong direction. Commissioner Meadows?
Yeah, I should point out that we have been having brief meetings monthly to redeclare every 30 days. So this is not an unusual occurrence for this body since whenever that was passed, September or something like that.
Right.
And also I should point out that at least the city of Los Altos is still under such a declaration. So I think it's hard for the commissions and the NCLA to necessarily have a different policy for its council members versus its commissioners, but but anyway, those are my comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Epstein, do you have a comment? I thought I saw your hand.
I'd be happy to start meeting in person again when we can, but we'll go along with whatever is.
Well, it does, as I mentioned, it doesn't mean we will meet virtually. It means that we have the option to meet virtually. So with that in mind, Angel, will you take the vote, please?
In summary, I had a motion by Meadows, a second by Epstein to accept this resolution. And if those are still valid, I don't see any objections. I will call the vote on this item. So if you are in favor to accept this resolution, please say aye. Commissioner Fligor?
Yes.
Commissioner Meadows?
Yes.
Secretary Epstein?
Yes.
Vice President Smith?
Yes.
And President Hill?
Yes.
All right, this resolution.
Thank you, everyone. And MJ, thank you again for your comments. I would like to go on to informational items, and I would like to start with Angel. Do you have any information or announcements?
I'll just be really brief. I want to thank you guys all for making this a very interesting meeting and making this quite enjoyable and not very difficult for me to follow. So thank you. That was very nice. In terms of announcements, as you guys know, you guys, this is your first, as I understand it, your first Ring Central meeting. Ring Central is here to stay. We will be moving forward with Ring Central as long as your city is their staff liaison for this commission. That's just a tool we use. So you'll be seeing a lot of the tools that the city uses. So on that same vein, the city has now bought a new agenda management platform. So that's just a fancy terminology to say that we're going to have a new look and feel to your agendas. The system has forced the city uniformity across commissions, which is a very nice thing. It's been very tough getting to the goal. So this tool is going to help us. All of our bodies are going to have the same look and feel, and the idea is they're all running the same. So the layout of the agenda that you guys are accustomed to seeing will change, and it's not going to change anytime between the next 4 to 6 weeks, but it's just the layout of your agenda, and that's just my minor commercial there in terms of technology, as well as the Ring Central comment. And those are my only informational items for this body at this time.
Thank you, Angel, and welcome to the group.
Thank you very much.
And county library staff, Rose and/or Chuck, any comments?
Nothing further to report on my end. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I'm going to run through the commissioners as I see you on my tic-tac-toe screen. So Commissioner Meadows. Thank you. Commissioner Epstein.
No.
Thank you. And Commissioner Schmidt.
No, thank you for the great discussion, though. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And Commissioner Fligor.
No, ditto. Great discussions tonight. Thank you.
Yes. And my closing comments are, I agree about the conversation, the discussion, the topics were excellent. We got a lot of background information. As always, I learned so much. And I want to thank Commissioner Fligor and Commissioner Meadows for leading me through my meeting. I will get the process down. I'm pleased that it's becoming a little bit more formal from my first few years. It was a free-for-all. So this is a nice structure, and I'm so glad I've listened into so many council meetings because I understand the pattern, and I now need to be able to speak the pattern, so I will get it. So thank you so much. And moving on to potential future agenda items, I actually have captured a few of them, probably not all of them, but I will check in with Angel on that. One is to get an updated Mays report for 2019, 2020, or yes, no, 2020 and 20.
That's right, you're right.
Thank you. And then we will also hopefully have a 2022.
No, just 2021.
Thank you. Okay. And we will most likely be bringing forward some names to be considered for our account audit. And I will be sending the Lolly agenda to everybody probably tonight. It's still in draft form, but it's pretty final, so it won't be major changes. And then also we have some financial status reports that the next time we meet that Angel will be providing to us.
Correct.
And also, Angel, one thing I did capture was how to share how we have spent the funds to date. So that's a report that I would like you to work on with probably with Suzanne and Chuck's help on that. All right. Are there any
The only other item, President Hill, in this, you would work as the new president with our attorney, is on the treasurer role. At our last meeting, and the minutes outlines it really well about what the next step should be. And so it's really working with our attorney.
Thank you. So noted. Thank you very much. And so we do not have a meeting currently scheduled. I will check in with everybody and, oh, yes, Commissioner Schmidt.
Sorry. I'm not sure how to exactly work this into the agenda or if it's a special meeting, but how do we start the process of discussing what we're going to do with our funds or what our goals are? And I know it will take more of the financial stuff that Angel is going to be providing, but I think it should be a discussion we have over several meetings and not come to a decision in just one.
Okay, so I will put it down for the next agenda and we will parse out the process and see what we need to do with that. Thank you.
No, thank you.
And I will also include the unincorporated areas discussion. I think we need to continue that because Suzanne's gotten us started on it again with a very thorough explanation. So unincorporated. All right. We the way NCLA was set up initially only required 2 meetings a year. However, NCLA has become much more active for lots of different reasons. So it's very likely that we will meet in 1 to 3 months and not wait until May. But I will check in with Angel to see how we are gathering up all the financial information so that we can have a discussion that has data behind it in addition to narrative. Suzanne.
We are, I don't know if we're required, it's actually in our terms and procedures or something that we have a meeting in May, but we should schedule a meeting in May. If we have a meeting before that, that's fine too. Okay. But we definitely need Chuck there. So it probably is nice to let people know ahead of time when we'll be meeting. That's when he presents the budget that we then approve. So that's our operating budget that we're going to look at and approve.
All right, so I will ask Angel to work with Chuck on dates that he's available. Then we will find out when all of you are available. Most likely it will be a Monday night because that seems to be the one night that all of us are available. All right, any additional things? With that, I close the meeting at 7:41 p.m. and thank you everyone for being here, being present.
Great job, President Hill. Thank you.
Thank you. Ciao. Good luck, Rose.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Enjoy your new baby, Rose. Nice meeting you. Ciao.